Humans have been drawing stars since before they could write. Every civilization, every continent, every era in history independently, they all reached for the same shape and then they put it in their beadwork. Today, we're exploring the star, what it means, how it works in design, and how to use the Chase the Stars guide to make the piece that's in your head. Welcome back to Beadesign. I'm Paula from On a String, and today we're looking at stars. And I don't just mean the shape. The star is one of those symbols that carries meaning without needing an explanation. You don't have to tell someone what a star means, they already know. Achievement, aspiration, navigation, hope. Celestial bodies we've been mapping and mythologizing for thousands of years, and that's a lot of weight for a shape that's really just two triangles. Which makes it an interesting territory for design, because when you use a star in your beadwork, you're working with that history, whether you intended to or not. So the question is, what do you want to say with it? And that's what the Chase the Stars guide is for. It's sitting on the Beadesign page on the On a String website, and the link is in the description below, and it's free. But before we get into design decisions, let's talk about the shape itself, because understanding the geometry changes how we will use it. A 5-pointed star is a pentagram. A 6-pointed star is a Star of David. And an 8-pointed star, which is what the keepsake box is formed when you overlay an X and a plus sign, two squares rotated 45 degrees apart. What that means in practice, the 8-pointed star has 4 axes of symmetry. It doesn't favour any direction, it radiates equal in all directions, which makes it really stable, complete and cosmic, not pointing anywhere, just existing. Compare that to the 5-pointed star, which has a strong vertical axis, a top and a bottom. It wants to be orientated. If you rotate it, it reads differently, and your brain notices. So the number of points isn't just aesthetic, it's structural. It affects how the piece reads, how it needs to be worn or hung, and whether it has a direction. And it's worth knowing before you commit to a point count. We said the star carries meaning without explanation, and let's unpack that a little bit. Across cultures, the star has meant navigation. The North Star is literally a wayfinding tool. It means divinity. The Star of Bethlehem, the Star and Crescent, it means achievement. Gold stars, star ratings, stars on military insignia. And it's meant the cosmos itself. We are, as someone once said, literally made of stardust. That's an enormous range of meaning, and all of it is available to you when you pick up a star motif. The question the guide will help you answer is, which of those meanings am I working with? Or am I making something more personal, a piece for someone who navigates by their own light, or someone who's achieved something hard, or someone who really just loves the night sky? The culture and colour planning pages of the guide will walk you through this. Take some time with them. It changes the design decisions you make. Bead selection, palette, scale, placement. Let's talk about the actual design work. A few principles worth keeping in mind. Scale matters enormously with stars. A tiny star, read as a repeated motif, creates a completely different effect from a single large focal star. One says constellation, the other says statement. And neither is wrong, but they're not the same design decision. Stars and negative space. Because a star has points, it creates interesting negative space around it, the gaps between the arms. If you're designing a piece where the star floats, that negative space becomes part of the composition. Think about whether you want it filled in or left open. Orientation, we talked about this with the point count, but it also applies to the 8-pointed star. Hung flat, it radiates. Tilted, it becomes more dynamic, more unexpected. A deliberate tilt can shift the whole feeling of a piece. Colour and the star motif. Stars are traditionally gold or silver, the light of distant suns, but they don't have to be. A deep navy star in a pale field reads completely different from a bright gold star on a dark ground. The palettes planning guide section is worth spending time with on this one. The guide has 5 pages and they're designed to work through in sequence, but you can jump around once you're comfortable. Page 1 is about intro and cultural context, and I'd encourage you to read this properly, not just skim it. The backstory you give yourself on a motif changes how you use it. Page 2 is about colour planning. Which palette feels right for the meaning you're working with? Celestial golds, deep cosmic blues, or something unexpected. Page 3, mood and finish. Is it matte? Is it luster? Is it iris? Each finish changes the feel, and this page will help you narrow that down before you're standing in front of your bead collection. Page 4 is about palette experiments and placement. This is where you work things out on paper before you commit to a design. Use it. The placement section asks you to think about where the star sits in the piece. Is it a focal point, a repeat, a border, or scattered? And page 5, project ideas and reflection. 3 starting point ideas and space to capture what came out of the session. Use the reflection prompts. They're designed to help you make decisions, not just to record them. The Chase the Stars guide is free and it's in the description. Go to the Honest String website to grab it or get it below. And if you want to go deeper on design thinking between episodes, the Design Eye is my YouTube membership. Each month there are free downloadable resources and a bit more of this kind of thinking. And the button link is below. For more working with colour and motifs, have a look at Colour Chat and Storytelling in Beads episodes. They're both linked below as well. And if this was useful, please like or subscribe because it helps more people find it. And I'll see you in the next one.